Hello everyone, welcome back to FPL Pinnacle, your go-to channel for everything Fantasy Premier League. Today we're gearing up for Game Week 26. We'll be diving into the best players and teams to target for the upcoming game week, strategy talk, and a breakdown of how my Game Week 25 went. Plus, I'm sharing my transfer plans and latest tips to help you climb those rankings. Let's jump straight into it. Alright, let's first take a look back at Game Week 25. Another double game week was a bit of a roller coaster for a lot of us. I scored 107 points, which gave me a green arrow, taking me from 282k to 195k. The Arsenal defence came in pretty clutch for me, with their clean sheet against Leicester, leaving Raya on 7 and Gabriel on 6. Trent was subbed just before Wolves scored, locking in his clean sheet points in their first game. You've got to take those small wins where we can. Not many returns outside of that though. Isak, Palmer, Mbeumo and Rodgers all blanked. Quite fortunate with Gakpo not being available for both fixtures, meaning I got Wood as an auto sub. Salah got his customary return, but for a second week in a row, his effective ownership was above 200% due to the triple captainship. So despite owning and captaining him, none of his points were positive for me. Very disappointing result for Villa against Ipswich meant that the transfer from Moyes to Emery didn't go as well as I'd hoped. Feels like some lost points there. But we did get a draw and table bonus against Liverpool. It could have been a win as well, with a really open game allowing for big chances on both sides. Overall, it wasn't a disaster, but if you're like me, there's always room for improvement. If you want to see more of my game week breakdowns, be sure to subscribe and turn on the notifications so you never miss an update. Over 90% of you watching aren't subscribed. Moving on to game week 26, and compared to what FPL has thrown at us for the past few weeks, this seems like a relatively relaxed one. That being said, there are still some really key fixtures, and the decisions you make now will set you up for the crucial fixtures leading up to the blank game week 29 and beyond, depending on your strategy. I'd love to hear what strategies you're planning for your blank and double game weeks coming up to the end of the season. Drop them in the comments below. Now let's dive into who I think are the best players to target going forward in each position, starting with the defenders. At number 1, we've got Trent Alexander-Arnold. He's still the best attacking defender in the game, and I can't see any reason not to have him. Liverpool do blank in 29, but in 28 they face Southampton, so if you can manage the blank by benching him or even replace him before the game week 29 deadline, possibly with some players further down the list, he's a good asset to have. Gabriel has been a consistent threat in the box, and with Arsenal's strong defensive record, he's a great pick. With all their attacking injuries of late, I can't help but think that the emphasis will be even more on keeping those clean sheets and focusing on their strength in defensive areas. Next up is Guardiola. City look vastly improved since their worrying mid-season performances, and while they have a tough fixture against Liverpool this week, Guardiola is always a goal threat. Their fixtures do conveniently improve right as we have a blank in game week 29, so he could be a good replacement for those who blank. Then we have Kirkes of Bournemouth, who has one of the best fixture runs going. Finally, Munoz of Crystal Palace. Now this is a tough one as he has some great fixtures and has returned in 4 of the last 5 games, but I can't help but feel like it's too late to go for him now. This is assuming that you aren't free hitting in game week 29 as he blanks, so essentially you'd just be transferring a player in who is guaranteed to miss a fixture. If you are free hitting in 29, he's probably one of the best options, but if you aren't, I'd just go for Kirkes as Bournemouth have a fixture in 29. Or even Ryan Aït-Nouri for Wolves. That's enough defender talk anyway. Let's move on to the midfielders, where there are some exciting options as well. Both of the best options this week are Bournemouth players for me. Ouattara has been a standout performer lately, playing as a striker and should be on your radar for game week 26. Kluivert has also been involved in pretty much everything, and I wouldn't discourage people from owning both. With news of Ahmad's injury, some of you may need a cheap replacement for him, and I don't think there are any better than these two going forward. At number 3, we've got Mbeumo. He has one of the nicer fixtures this week against Leicester, and despite the blanks, he has good data over recent weeks. Then there's Nwaneri from Arsenal. A bit of a wild card, but he's been getting more minutes with Arsenal's injuries and could be a great differential. Finally, Phil Foden. With some of the best big chance involvement data of all midfielders over the past few weeks and City looking more themselves, he's a great choice. Now let's wrap things up with the forwards. Starting off with Isak. He's been in great form, although he has blanked in the last 2 fixtures. I still wouldn't look past him just yet. At number 2, we've got Cunha. Wolves' fixtures are turning again, so he could be someone to target. A possible replacement for the likes of Gakpo, and he has scored in the last 2 Premier League games, including last week against Liverpool. At number 3, I've got Wissa. He's always involved in the team's attacking play, much like Mbeumo, and also has a great fixture this week. Then there's Mateta. He has some of the best expected goals data amongst forwards and has 7 goals in his last 6 games. But again, Palace don't have a fixture in 29. So whether you get him or not is very dependent on your strategy going forward. And lastly, Marmoush. A hat-trick performance against Newcastle and not a fully fit Haaland means he could be starting up top for a City team that creates a hell of a lot of chances. That being said, they are playing a pretty tough Liverpool side this weekend. Assistant manager talk again. I won't lie, I'm pretty bored of this chip now I'm in my 3rd week. I have benefited from the chip in terms of table bonuses, both with Moyes in my 1st week and Emery's draw against Liverpool, but I'm not sure what I'm going to do with it this week. It's likely I'll just stick with Emery playing Chelsea. There isn't anyone else in my price range that tickles my fancy. Just in case you wanted to know, I have listed the managers with potential table bonus in Game Week 26. Obviously, if you're looking at table bonus teams, chances are they are considerably worse than the team they're playing against. But if I was going to recommend one, I would say Hurstler is my favourite. Fulham are by no means a pushover, especially at home, but I think Palace are one of the best teams with table bonus. There is also a chance that Ipswich get something at Tottenham, and they are at home, but I would steer clear of Southampton and West Ham for sure. After all that, let's get onto my transfer plans for Game Week 26. Really, I'm just setting up for the blank game week coming up in 29, so I want to put myself in the best position for that. This means it isn't going to be the most exciting of weeks for me attacking fixtures, but rather getting people in who play in the blanks and have good fixtures in the long run. I don't have any major worries at the moment. I know Gakpo missed both games in 26, but I don't need to rush him out. If I did, I'd just cause myself a benching headache anyway. I'm 90% sure this week I'll just be using my 1 free transfer on taking Rodgers out for Ouattara. I've already spoken about why I think Ouattara is a good option going forward earlier on in the video, so go back if you missed that. But the fact that Aston Villa have a blank in Game Week 29 also cements the fact I want to make this transfer. So the lineup will likely be Raya in goal for a home game against West Ham. Robinson keeps his place over Lewis Hall, and finishing off the defence will be Trent after his goal against Villa and Gabriel doubling up on the Arsenal defence once again. Into the midfield and Salah gets the captain's armband against a leaky Man City defence. It seems to be Hall after Hall for him these days, so I won't be going anywhere else. But if you do fancy a differential, Mbeumo against Leicester might be a shout this week. Joining them will be a slightly out of form Cole Palmer, but despite the exodus, I certainly won't be taking him out, at least before Southampton and Leicester. If he hasn't improved after that, I will reassess, and the 2 Bournemouth men in Kluivert and Ouattara. Up top, Wood comes back in after my silly decision to bench him in Game Week 25. It's like playing with fire benching him, and I've learnt my lesson for sure. Isaac finishes off the team hoping Newcastle can move on from their significant loss to Man City and get back on track. So, that's it for today's video. If you found the tips helpful, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe for more FPL content. And don't forget to turn on the notifications so you never miss out. Drop your thoughts, transfers and questions in the comments below. I'd love to hear about your strategies for this game week. I'll be back with more updates, tips and strategies for the upcoming game weeks. Best of luck with your teams, and let's keep aiming for that FPL Pinnacle. See you in the next one.